Hi everyone and welcome to Insights by Johnita Francis. I am your host, the one and only, thankfully, perhaps. I don't know, the world's ready for two of me. I am Johnita Francis and thanks so much for joining us here on Moonstruck TV and A1R Psychic Radio. I have had an amazing week. Last Thursday, some friends and I set out on a motorcycle ride. I ride a Harley Davidson and my friends all ride big bikes as well. And we live in Sydney and we decided that it would be fun to ride over 900 kilometres down to a girls only weekend away and then ride home. So altogether we clocked up a little over 1,800 kilometres and it was amazing. Now, the reason why I'm sharing this with you is because I was so nervous going into this trip. My entire life, people had told me all the reasons in the world why I couldn't do stuff. I have a hearing loss, so therefore my balance wouldn't be good. I can't hear traffic if I wear a helmet. I can't hear this. I can't hear that. Deaf people don't ride motorcycles, deaf people don't do this. Very limiting life. I had a limiting life based on what other people thought I was capable of doing. So for me, I actually thought that I had worked through a lot of those insecurities and a lot of that nervousness and anxiety around being able to do such a big ride. And you know what? I was so nervous, and it's a little bit embarrassing to share with you, but I'll do it because that's life and we have to embrace the great moments and the embarrassing moments. I was so nervous that after I packed my bike and had everything ready and I double-checked everything and triple-checked everything and I was leaving my house keys behind because I didn't really need them and I didn't want the bulk, I actually left my helmet on the table inside and realised when I sat on my bike that I could not get back into the house. So I had to sheepishly ring my husband and ask him if he would mind coming back from work for just a couple of minutes to let me in so I could actually get my helmet so I could get on my way. Even with that, now years ago, and this is why I'm such an advocate for the evolution of self and getting to know ourselves as our favourite subject, because years ago I would have seen that as a sign to not go. I would have even the universe is saying this is a bad idea. I had stomach upsets. I was shaking like a leaf. And the thing that settled me down first and foremost was I could hear my husband laughing driving down our street. He pulled into the driveway and his face was filled with such glee that I had made such a stupid mistake. And years ago, I would have got in trouble for doing something like that from previous people. So even though it sounds like it's not related, I've learned and I've put boundaries in place and I've grown as a person to attract people that are supportive of when I want to do crazy stuff. So he's giggling, lets me back in, pop my helmet on, everything else is ready, and it starts to rain. Again, is this a sign from the universe? Not sure. Don't even think about it. I didn't even think that this is sign number 2. I was so excited about sharing this adventure and what this adventure meant, not just 4 chicks on a motorcycle. This was about proving to myself that I could do it, proving to myself that, friendships are formed sometimes in the most adverse of manners. And we've got 4 chicks that, not that long ago, a couple of months ago, were perfect strangers, and we've just connected so strong. The universe has put us all into alignment right here in this moment so we could share this together. And it was so many moments on the trip where I was, leading the pack and behind the pack, in the middle of the pack. And every now and then my eyes would fill up with tears and I'm thinking, wow, I'm actually doing this. I'm really doing this. And it was moments of I couldn't hear anything over my pipes. I have really loud exhaust, okay, because I'm a Harley rider and that's what we do. And I'm just sitting there on my bike and everything's whizzing past and I can smell all of the nature smells and I can smell the recent bushfires and I can smell the rain that we've just had, and all of that's taking in and my senses are overloaded, and I'm watching these beautiful power women in front of me that are riding their motorcycles. 900 kilometers. And I'm just taking it all in. It was such an overwhelming, powerful, emotive time where we were doing it. And as soon as we saw each other right before we set out, we all shared that we had this level of nervousness, that our anxieties were through the roof. Are we freaking crazy for doing this, or are we totally epic? I mean, we're a bunch of middle-aged chicks, for goodness sake. This was our biggest ride we've ever done in our lives, So, and it was just, we mapped it out where we had a lot of Virgo traits, okay? And if you're not familiar with astrology, Virgo likes things done in order, and they're very orderly, and they like things done planned and carefully planned. So we knew how small the smallest tank was and how far we could get before we needed to refuel, and I mapped out all the petrol stops, and the other girls looked after different aspects of the trip. And when I was talking to some really seasoned riders about this, guys that have travelled all over Australia, and they said, if you could get to that 600-kilometre ride in that first day, that's essentially with stops, 8 hours in the saddle, I will be so impressed. I will be like, that would be amazing. I'd be very proud of you. And I got off that bike when we reached our 611th kilometre. And the first thing I did was text my husband and say, oh, my God, we're here. We're at Yarrawonga. We're here. And the second thing I did was text this man and say to him, we did it. And he wrote back and said, I'm so proud of you. And it burst me. It absolutely just elevated my sense of pride, my sense of I did this to. There was even moments where I just wanted to stick my royal salute up. The Aussies will know what I mean by that. It's that middle finger that's not particularly polite. And say, every naysayer that had ever come across my life before, and say, stuff you, I did it. And, we talk about spiritual empowerment and personal empowerment and claiming back who we are at our core and our authentic selves. But that doesn't mean that we have to go to yoga every Tuesday night, or we don't have to do this, or we don't have to listen to a certain style of music. We don't have to walk around barefoot with cheesecloth clothing on. It is being able to push yourself and challenge yourself and let go of the fears that are associated with that. And when I teach people about fear, it's to feel, emotion, and release. And we were all experiencing that level of fear, right up until we all met at McDonald's, and we all shared that moment. And as soon as we said, wow, I'm nervous. And everyone said, oh, me too, oh, me too. And then it's empowerment in being vulnerable. And I, for one, never, ever in a million years thought I could be so powerful being vulnerable. And it's a total mind shift thing for me, because you see vulnerability as an opportunity to be at a weakened state, and people will get you. People will hurt you. They'll kick you while you're down. But for me, being vulnerable and saying, oh, my God, I'm really shitting my pants. I'm so nervous. I'm shaking. I left my helmet at home. I shared that with them. We all had a giggle about how nervous I was. I left my helmet inside. And because there was empowerment in that, and because we all made it okay to feel that anxiety and that stress and that nervousness and fear, then it was acceptable. And when things are acceptable, it takes all the pressure off you to be a certain way or to act in a certain manner. So we're riding along, we get to Yarrawonga. It's a beautiful place. If you're in Australia, research it. It is the most stunning scenery I've ever seen in my life, honestly. And I've travelled quite a bit all over the world. And we're sitting there on the side of the lake, taking photographs, and just that wave of emotion that comes over you. Now I'm 600 kilometres away from home. I'm with 3 female friends. We have no support vehicle. We don't have any boys with us. We don't have anybody aside from ourselves who can change a tyre or do basic mechanical stuff, or, if we get into strife, what do we do? All those sorts of things that we're told, especially as women, that we shouldn't be able to do. We were doing it, and we were kicking ass at it, and it was just So cool. And the next day too, we had to travel about 300 kilometres to our next stop. We jumped on our bikes, we did our stops, we did our photographs. We, had apple and cinnamon muffins along the way. I've never eaten so much junk food in all my life. I was a bit naughty, and they took photographs of every time I shoved something naughty in my mouth. But they're memories that are created, and the giggles and letting each other know how we were feeling along the way without a sense of competitiveness or acceptance or judgment. And we were able to be our absolute authentic selves. Now, there is no way that I am under any false impression that I am the same person on this side of the trip as I was going into it. Because I've learned so much about my resilience, about my ability to be brave when all I wanted to do was go, oh my God, this is a bad idea. My ability to support each other, other people, my ability to support my friends, my ability to laugh at myself and to encourage others to laugh. At one point, we were so saturated from the rain because, Australia has been burning for a number of months and then it decided to flood. So, we had incremental weather all the way on both legs of the trip. And we did it though, we were laughing our guts out because we were saturated. We were laughing our guts out because we were riding 100 kilometres an hour down the highway and the wind was so strong that all of the rain was actually drying. The wind was drying our clothes off. It was just an amazing, epic adventure. And, your thing might not be motorcycling, but it's a metaphor for finding that thing that scares you a little bit. Just has that little bit of fear factor associated with it. And it's something that, you really want to do and everybody tells you a million reasons why you can't. And then do it. Do your research. Make sure you go with a good organizer. Make sure that, the company that you want to skydive with is reputable. Do your smart risk assessments, okay? But don't let that stop you from living your life. This is not a dress rehearsal. We don't get to press pause on our lives and rewind the bits that we don't want to, have a memory of and redo them. It doesn't work like that. So, I got a tattoo. I sent my husband a text message and said to him, I'm going to get a tattoo. He goes, do I even need to ask, babe? And I'm like, better if you don't. It was just to have a support network around you, to have a husband that giggles with you, to have your friends say, instead of all of our friends saying to us why we couldn't go, all of our friends were saying, wow, we're so jealous. We want to come with you next year. And there will be a bigger trip next year. There'll be more riders and we'll all go together and none of us will ever be the same because we've overcome something that scared us and we did it anyway. And it was a bit sassy. It was a bit, there was a lot of moments where we were just complete bogans. I don't know what the American term is for bogan, but redneck might be a good one, where we just enjoyed being ourselves and having a laugh and having a giggle. And we came across an abandoned putt-putt and all the signs all over the place were saying, do not touch anything, which, we're bikies by this point, okay? We've just literally travelled almost 700 kilometres, so we're going for it. We're going to touch every animal that there's a sign next to. So we got all these photos taken next to these mannequins. It was the creepiest thing. If you've ever seen horror movies, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. At midnight, you're waiting for some sort of creepy sound and the mannequins all come to life. It was really creepy. But we had so much fun because we just didn't break the law, of course, but we stretched. We stretched the limits of what we were allowed to do. We didn't hurt anybody. We weren't upsetting anybody. We just got a whole bunch of great photographs and great memories doing silly things. So, little bit of risk, little bit of fun, and it goes a long way, especially when you're learning to let go and not control outcomes. And, like we had to control the trip, we had to control our petrol stops, but we could let loose in the low risk areas. And that's exactly what we did. And we came out better for it. I think it's just such an awesome adventure to have. So on the way home, we had some major wind gust. And at one point, I actually felt like my motorcycle was going to turn into a hovercraft. And we knew that that particular leg was about 189 kilometres between one town to the next town to get our petrol. We knew that that was going to be a tough fatigue, concentration time for us. And there was no, we talked about that. We talked each other through it. We decided what our exit plan was, what we were going to do if one of us felt worried. We had, the three girls had helmet comms, and I just went by sign language. So, that's cool. Get off the road, get on the road, go faster, go slower. Those sorts of things. So we had our plan B in case the wind got too crazy or the weather got too crazy. And we just followed that. So we're still being smart about how we were doing it, but we didn't take away the fun factor, and that's what it was all about for us. So at one point I actually had to lean on the peg of my motorcycle and lean into the wind to make me feel like I wasn't going to go flying and Mary popping through the air. But it was such an adventure, absolute adventure. So and I'm very, very grateful and richer for the experience. So to all the girls that came with us and to the hundreds of women that joined the weekend down at the Sheila Shakedown, they call it, my hat's off to you girls. You are absolutely inspirational, just authentically yourselves. And, we had the Sheila Olympics. I'll just tell you this quickly before I get into the collective reading. And the Sheila Olympics are about jumping on your motorcycle, squidding we call it, when there's no protective gear or helmets and stuff like that. But in Australia it's the law to wear your helmet. Everything else is optional, but very rarely do you get people that don't have the optional safety gear. And so we just had nothing else on, just our clothes and our motorcycles, and we did a whole bunch of different styles of racing, like real slow rides and pillion rides and just silly fun stuff. And the reason why I'm sharing this is because where my friends and I sat in this line of women, I was just listening to this, a couple of older ladies, okay, and I don't mean that disrespectfully, but they're older than us, and they've been riding for some of them longer than you and I have been alive, And I was sitting there thinking, holy shit, this is the feminist movement. This is what it's about. It's not about being smarter, better, braver, stronger than the boys. It's got nothing to do with boys. The feminist movement for me is about being tough enough within yourself, being confident enough within yourself to be your authentic self and not give a hoot about what everyone else thinks of you, or not give a hoot if you've got helmet hair, not give a hoot if you've got tomato sauce stain down your top. It's just authentically raw beauty and embracing your individualistic behaviours and your beauty that you are as an individual. And it was just one of those profound aha epiphany moments that you have in your life where you realise that you are surrounded by inspirational, beautiful warrior women. And I freaking loved this weekend. I loved it for so many reasons. And I did a little video. It's on YouTube. So look up Insight by Johnita Francis if you'd like to have a look at the video and like to see the adventure and see some of the shenanigans that we got up to. It'd be my pleasure to share it with you. So just let me know. Now, interestingly, I came home to a crystal package from a friend of mine who runs a crystal store. She does it online, and she's just got some really amazing pieces. And she sent me a whole bunch, but one in particular is sticking out for me at the moment, and it's the Peach Moonstone. And it's like an apricot-y, peachy sort of colour. Now, if you're listening on the radio, it'll be difficult for you to kind of get the idea of it. But if you're watching Moonstruck, or you're able to see the video, it's got these beautiful apricot-y sort of colours to it, very peach, kind of like slate, if you could picture slate, but in an apricot colour. And when you touch it, it just does something to my insides. I know that sounds bizarre, but it's kind of like it elevates my frequency. It shifts me in a way, and I can actually physically feel the crystal humming. Now, when I had a little look at what this, because I am so not a crystal person, I like pretty crystals and shiny objects and things like that, but I'm not really up there with the meanings. And when I had a look at the meaning, it's for inner growth and strength. Now, the lady who sent this to me didn't want me to have this before my trip. she wanted me to have it after I came home. And I was just speaking to her earlier this morning, or earlier today for you, and she said that she deliberately held it back. She wanted me to have it after my trip. So it's a calming and soothing energy that comes with the peach moonstone, and it helps with developing intuition, clairvoyance, and while offering protection. So if you're listening to this video right now, that's certainly something. And me sharing my story with you hopefully is resonating you and pushing you along, motivating you to really grab life by the, well, we say balls in Australia, but that might be a bit forward for you Americans. Hopefully I haven't offended anyone, but we grab life by the balls here. And that's what I'm encouraging you to do. So we've got Mercury coming up in retrograde soon, and that'll be going retro in Pisces, okay, from the 17th of February. Please don't panic about retrograde, because it does so many different things for so many different people. If you're born with retrograde in your chart, then obviously it will behave in a different way. If there's a few things going on with that, and basically what it means is that take time out to really think about how you want to move things forward. It'll allow you some time to process your emotions, to communicate your emotions, to think about your inner workings and how you're going to be able to move forward once it starts going in a forward motion again. That picking up speed, I should say, with retrograde, doesn't really go backwards. Some of the other energy that you can look forward to at the moment, let's have a little look, see what's going on, is the Mars energy, okay? That's really interesting, because Mars is all about ambition, drive, strength, finding those things that you really want to do and having that fighting spirit. So I actually love it when the cards pick up exactly what we've been talking about, because it kind of says that every listener that is tuning in right now needs to hear this, needs to hear that story, needs to hear what the energy is happening for them. And strangely enough, the Virgo card is directly underneath it. So take those risks, but do them carefully. Plan ahead. Don't, decide that you're going to go skydiving, go to a whole other country where they don't have any standards and jump out of a plane to someone who doesn't speak English or doesn't speak your language. That would be ludicrous. Very risky, but ludicrous. Take some time to research what you're going to do and how you're comfortable doing it, but don't let your reservations or your fear hold you back from doing it, because life is meant for living. And as crude as it sounds, no one gets out alive. We don't get out alive. We transition to the next stage. We do a U-turn, come back and go through some extra lessons. We do all sorts of things, but we do not get out of here alive. So enjoy it, embrace it. Now, there's a time for family as well. So family has come up, but it's also a number 5, okay? So 5 is about adventure, change, exploring, and here we go again, and doing it with your family. Now, strangely enough, there's actually, I'm the shortest of our little group, so I always say that I'm the half a percenter, unlike the other girls that are 1%ers. Purely a little bit of a play on words. And we've got a family of 3 monkeys and 2 little babies. So I'll take the 2 little babies because I'm about the same size as one. What else can we look forward to here? Okay, some time out. And we've got another 5 card as well. Just taking time out to think about what we really want to do. Where's the fun factor in our lives? What are we going to do for the next couple of months up until, let's make June our target. What are we going to do between now and June that is going to bring some excitement into our lives, bring some pizzazz, and give us a little bit of that adrenaline kick. I love adrenaline sports. I absolutely love them. My husband's not so keen on them, so the poor man gets adrenaline sport vouchers every single birthday, anniversary, just because I'm feeling like it or I see a special. And he always goes along with me, so he's a wonderful person like that. What else can we have a look at here? Cause for celebration. You're actually going to be able to overcome anything that's coming up for you. So if you decide that you want to do something, your stomach will turn and twist, okay? From my experience, there's an excitement feeling, there's an adrenaline feeling, and sometimes when we're freaking out, our excitement can also feel like fear, okay? So it's about identifying, is it excitement or is it fear? Whatever it is that you're going to choose to do between now and June, okay, Do it with gusto, really get into it, and then celebrate your reward after. Celebrate the fact that you were brave enough to go through with it, or that you didn't chicken out at the last minute. We actually had a plan B for our motorcycle trip because we were watching everything go underwater. We had fires coming right up towards the highway from the coast, and then we also had rain on the other side. So we were freaking out, thinking we're either going to get the fire on one side or we're going to get the flooding on the other, you know. Australia really is that Dorothea McKellar poem. And we had a plan B, and the plan B was, let's take a car. Whose car are we taking? What are we going to do? Can we fit everything into it? We were still debating whether we should take the car right up to the Wednesday evening, and then right at the last minute we said, no, we'll stuff it. We really want to ride. So that's what we did, and we rode, and we don't regret it. So justice will be served. So you'll get exactly what you need out of it every single time. Don't let your mind talk you out of things. If you're finding that you're procrastinating and you're having trouble making those decisions, count backwards from 5. When you count backwards from 5, your brain can't talk you out of stuff because it's too busy concentrating on counting backwards. All right, that's our collective reading for this week on Moonstruck and A1R Psychic Radio. I am Johnita Francis, and I thank you very much for tuning in. I will be back again next week. I am available for private readings and coaching and mentoring. I do have a whole stack of workshops that you can purchase as well that are not interactive but are online, and they're yours to keep, so they don't expire. If you're interested in learning how to develop some spiritual or personal development areas. I also have a permanent arrangement on Facebook, so if you haven't followed me on Facebook already, I encourage you to do so. There's always something going on my page, and I'd love to see you there. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and I also have a YouTube channel as well. And some of my life story has been blogged, which is a new term for me on YouTube. So do check it out if you're interested in hearing about where I came from, what this crazy lady's up to now, and all the trials and tribulations that happened over my life, and why I can sit here and smile about them instead of cry. So with that, I thank you very, very much for your time, and I will see you all again next Wednesday night at 8 p.m. And I think that's just about me done by the looks of things. Thanks very much. We'll see you all again soon. Bye for now.